How you doing? This is Coach DeCarlo. Are you tired of being sick and tired? Are you tired of being stuck? Are you tired of wondering, is this all there is? And you want more from life? Then listen to this presentation because this is going to give you some powerful tools of transformation. But first and foremost, you have to understand that there is an ABC process to change, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. When we're talking about the A of change, we're talking about awareness. Awareness is the first thing that you must be aware of. Now, being sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's a good place. Now, you say, Coach, what do you mean that that's a good place? Think about it. If you're content where you're at, even though where you're at is not where you want to be, then there's really no reason to change. But when you get to a point where you're fed up, that you are tired of being stuck, or that you're tired of just getting by, as it were, then you're in a good place. That's called awareness. See, nothing changes without awareness. Because, see, without awareness, you will assume that everything is okay. When in your heart of hearts, you know that that's just not the case. So what we want to do is first and foremost become aware of where we're at. And in order to understand where we want to go, we have to understand where we're at. This is how life works. When you begin to understand where you're at, then you can discover where you want to go. Now, where you want to go, that's unlimited possibilities. Now, I know that many of you believe that that's just not the case, but it is. If you can imagine it, if you can think it, if you can believe it in your heart of hearts, it's possible for you. I'm talking about if you can logically think about where it is that you want to go, do, be, or have, you can have it. If you're willing to put in the work. Now, many of us, especially in this law of attraction, law of assumption, manifestation community, we just want to think a thing and then we want it magically to appear. That happens sometimes. But see, more than think a thing, you have to become a thing. Whatever that thing is that you want to manifest in your life, you have to become that thing. But first and foremost, you must be aware that you're not that thing. Now, once you identify that what I'm not, but what I want to be, you're on your way to life change. But until you get to that point, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Once you begin to acknowledge where you want to be, who you want to be, what you want to have in your life, then we can start moving forward and creating a plan for that. But you can't do that until you are first and foremost aware of where you're at the present moment. Now, you've gotten to the point of awareness. You say, listen, Coach, this is where I'm at, but this is not where I want to be. So where do you want to be? That's the question. Once we discover who it is, what it is that you want to have, what you want to have in your life, what things that you'd like to accomplish, then we can start creating a plan for that. More than that, it's actually believing that you can be this new person. See, once you come from a place of belief and you believe that it's possible to transform your life, see, then we have a buy-in. See, but we can't do it without you believing. If you don't believe it's true, then there's no amount of coaching that anyone can give you that will help you manifest your desire. But if you can just get a glimmer of seeing it, as Les Brown would often say, just see it as possible. Don't worry about the how, what it's going to take. Just see it as possible. Can you see yourself living, being, doing that thing that you've imagined? Just see it as possible. Don't worry about the how again. As you're seeing it as possible, as you begin to believe this thing as being a possibility, then we can begin creating a lifestyle around that belief system of your possibilities. When you're on this journey, Jesus says, tell no man on the way. Tell no man on the way to your manifestation. Why is that? Because see, if you start sharing your plans at the early stages of what it is that you want to do, be, or have, they're going to say, that coach is talking nonsense to you. There's no way in the world that you can create that kind of lifestyle. There's no way that you can be that person. Not you. You know, Neville said that he had a dream one time, and they said, God walks with you. And the woman looked beside him and said, where is God? You mean Neville? And she started laughing. You have to be fortified in your own beliefs before you begin sharing that vision with someone else. Because if you do it too early, they're going to talk you out of that dream. But if you can, first and foremost, become aware of what it is that you want to be. And then if you can believe it as being possible, just believe it as being possible. Just believe it as being possible. Don't worry about the how. You say, well, Coach, I want more money. That's possible. I want a loving relationship. That's possible. I want better health. That's possible. Just see it as possible. Because see, somewhere in the world, somebody just like you had the same belief system. And they turned that belief into a lifestyle. They turned that poor health into better health. They turned that lack of money to abundance. They turned no relationship into a loving relationship. Only thing I need from you, first and foremost, is just believe it's possible. But then lastly, the C is commitment. See, if you're going to bring this thing about, you have to be committed. Now, this is not a haphazard or wishful thinking like, oh, I just want to be a millionaire, but I don't want to become a millionaire. I want a loving relationship, but I don't want to become a loving person. I want better health, but I want to continue to complain about my ill health. You can't have it both ways, creators. Like I stated in another talk, there's something in you called a reticular activating system. This means that you can only think one thought at a time, but you can't think an opposing thought, good and evil, at the same time. You can't think lack and abundance at the same time. You can't think loneliness and a loving relationship at the same time. You can't think ill health and great health at the same time. What is it that you want to create, creators? You have to be committed to it. Now, it's not to say that we don't sometimes fall off the wagon. We all do. The key is not to stay there. Many of us want to enter a state akin to sleep just before going to bed, and we want to affirm what it is that we want to manifest in our lives. Now, mind you, we've thought 70, 80, 90, 100,000 thoughts a day, and all of them have been negative. Now, for 15 minutes, or maybe even 3 minutes before we go to sleep, we want to think something positive and loving. And we wonder why we're still having nightmares. See, this thing that you do called manifestation, law of assumption, law of attraction, it's not something that you can do just 15 minutes prior to going to bed and think that your world's going to be transformed if you're thinking negative thoughts all day long. Because what you're taking into your dream, beyond that 15 minutes of a state akin to sleep, is the 23 hours of negative thinking all day long. What do you think is going to have the preeminence in your mindset, creators? You have to begin practicing throughout the day, thinking lovely and what's of a good report. Now, I'm not saying that at first you're going to be able to do that successfully, but you keep repeating the process until you become that person that thinks that way. You become the person that thinks and acts and carries himself like a millionaire. You become the person that thinks and acts and carries himself, herself as a loving person in a loving relationship. You begin to think and carry yourself as the person who walks in better health. You do that throughout the day. And when those negative thoughts try to plague you, you think on lovely and good report. You acknowledge that, okay, that thought came, but I'm going to get back on track and think on what it is that I want to think on. As you begin making that your lifestyle, your mindset, your life is going to change. And so whether it's better health, a loving relationship, more money, whatever that thing is, when you begin living in that state and that becomes your lifestyle, it's just a matter of time. Most people want to manifest without doing the work. And even if you manifest something on a whim, haphazardly, without doing the work, and all of a sudden you're not going to keep it. It says, to him, her who has, more shall be given. But to him, her who does not have, even that which he, she believes that they have will be taken away from them. Creators, this thing is not rocket science, and it's actually quite simple, but if you're not willing to do the work, you're not going to get the results. No matter what teacher you speak to, they can promise you that you can manifest anything in 24 hours. I challenge you to test them on it, to see if you can bring about that $1 million in 24 hours. See if you can bring about that loving relationship in 24 hours. See if you can bring about better health in 24 hours when you've been plaguing your mind with the opposite all day long. It's impossible. But if you get on track, if you become aware of what it is that you want, if you begin to believe that you can have what it is that you say, if you become committed to the process, I guarantee it, creators, you're going to transform your life. It's not a matter of if, but when. Now, I can't promise you a 24-hour turnaround because each person has an appointed time, and it depends on how committed you are to your process of change. Some a few days, some a few weeks, some a few months, some even years. It depends on your commitment to the process. But when you become aware, as you begin to believe in the process, as you find yourself committed to your change, like I stated, it's just a matter of time. But remember this, creators, that only you can create your perfect world. Not God or man. Only you can create your perfect world. This is Coach DeCarlo saying have a great and abundant day.